The other deepest experiences I have had was to witness a reconciliation between a murderer and the one he murdered, or the one she murdered. It was a woman. And this was a woman who threw her baby at birth. Just straight away from the womb, she took this baby and dropped her in a 40-foot pit latrine. It's a miracle, first of all, to imagine 40 feet below that anything could live. But anyways, their neighbors, when they came around, there was a woman who came by and heard some noise in the pit. And so managed to raise some alarm, and people came around. And 6 hours later was when the fire brigade was able to get this baby out. And amazingly, the baby was still attached to the cord, and the baby was still alive. Now, eventually, the baby was washed, taken to the hospital. Amazingly, this baby is alive. No infection, nothing, not even a scratch. Just in God's hands down there. So anyway, the probation officer and the police searched around and found the girl, was arrested and sentenced and imprisoned. The baby was eventually brought to our center, and we started taking care of this baby in our babies unit. And eventually I came home one evening and there was a baby cot in my bedroom. And when I asked my wife, what's this? So the story goes on that eventually we started talking about adopting this baby. But as we started talking that way, in my heart, I felt a whisper. And I believed it was from the Lord, that God wanted this baby to meet its mother. And immediately I reacted and said, no way! A baby meeting the murderer? What for? But more than that, there was another whisper inside my own selfish mind, I believe. It said, what if this mother said, I want my baby? And I think to me that was a bigger resistance than the former one of meeting the murderer. Anyway, to cut the story short, eventually we had to go to meet this woman in the prison. She had been sentenced. And so we planned to go with the probation officer. I had never met this woman. So it was the probation officer who had to take us there. And I was not very sure even what I was going to say. But anyway, I believed that my wife and I needed to take this baby. But eventually we got to the prison. My wife and I, and the probation officer, and one of my daughters, and of course the little girl. She was now 1.5 years old. And so she was running about and very exciting and very excited. We got there and waited for a while. And as we waited, I started talking and witnessing to the prison warders. I came to discover that there was a very deep pain. The mother of Joy had been saying she would never have a child in her life. But they didn't know why she was in prison anyway. But when I heard that, I felt, if this is what is the vow in her heart, then for nothing else but for her sake, it's good we're here. So eventually the girl came and we went in, and I sat down. My wife sat down, and I came after with the probation officer first and my wife. And I came with the little girl, and I knelt down and introduced myself to the girl. By that time I was halfway in tears. And I introduced myself and I said, I know you do not know me, and that's not important, but I came to bring you a gift. And I said, here is the girl whom you threw in the pit. And she has come to say you are forgiven. And on her behalf, she cannot talk, but I felt you needed to hear that you are forgiven. And we want you to know that we forgive you, and she forgives you, and receive her. At that moment, Adi just burst in tears. I burst in tears. All my friends were crying. I got closer to her, to Adija, and said, I know you did something that you possibly have regretted, but there is an opportunity. And the Jesus who forgave us can forgive you, and he's the one who has brought us. One, that God spared this girl not to die was God. That he wanted you to have opportunity, that you shouldn't die. You shouldn't be a murderer. Two, that now you have an opportunity to meet the person that you killed, that is meeting you and saying you are forgiven, is another act of God. And I believe with all my heart that this is all a statement to say that Jesus, who loves you so much, who died for you, he wants you to receive his grace and his forgiveness. Would you want to accept him? And she lifted up her voice and said, yes, I want that Jesus to forgive me. And of course, the next moment was another moment of different tears, tears of joy, that Hadija was receiving Jesus in her heart, receiving forgiveness from the master of forgiveness, the one who paid for all our sins. And as we concluded that visit, after we had prayed, I prayed a blessing, a father's blessing upon her. I prayed a blessing and peace in her heart, and she held baby Joy in her arms, a real amazing thing, because Joy could not respond to anybody. But as a sign of reconciliation, a sign of forgiveness, Joy responded to her mother just like they had been together. I believed this was a sign from heaven that yes, God had joined their hearts and forgiveness had come. Therefore, I say, not only do we have a powerful message, but we also have a powerful solution. The power in the cross of Jesus Christ to forgive and to give people ability to forgive, but also to heal and be free from the bitterness and hatred and all the pains of hurt and offenses and bitterness that have happened in our nations.